Good evening, everyone. It is May 19th at 6:01, and this is the Colorado Oil and Gas Conservation Commission, and we are having our once a month evening meeting to accommodate folks for public comment in the evening. We will take the roll call, and then we have a light agenda. It generally involves public comment and potential commissioner comments. We appreciate folks being with us. To start, we will take a roll call. Hearings Manager Larson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Bogue.
Here.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Here.
Commissioner Hackett.
Here.
Commissioner McGowan.
Here.
Commissioner Mesner. Commissioner Nanjapa.
Here.
Commissioner Robbins.
Here. Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Chair, you have 6 out of 7 commissioners present.
Okay, and I would note for the record that Commissioner Messner's absence is accepted. We anticipated that he would not be able to be here this evening, and he'll be able to listen to this on our YouTube channel. We're still waiting on folks to roll in. With that, maybe just some housekeeping matters. I know I've got one. That is, tomorrow we had originally scheduled a second sort of informational session on financial assurances. However, we have continued that for a week. I know several of our stakeholders had wondered about the reason for the continuance, and it's because the folks that we were hoping to be able to present to us, some of the industry folks, some of the trades, they were still gathering information, and so they weren't quite ready for presentation tomorrow morning. So we're going to continue that for a week, which is just fine. They did want to be open and transparent about the reason for the continuance, because I know I had some folks that were wondering about that. And with that, I think we will move to public comment. We've got approximately 27 people with us this evening. And with that, I do have some sort of opening comments about public comment. Like last week, we have a few remarks with regard to public comment. 3 weeks ago on May 5th, we heard public comment, and we felt a few, not all, commenters went outside the parameters of what we believe would be considered civil public comment. For those of you who did not attend the full hearing on May 5th, you might consider listening to the response to those few at the end of that hearing by Commissioner McGowan. It was heartfelt. Today, and again, and on May 12th, I reminded folks that all public comments should be civil. We sincerely appreciate the time you take out of your day to be here, and we know that you are driven by your passionate advocacy to share your concerns. To ensure that this forum is an orderly and safe place for everyone to share their concerns, we simply and respectfully ask again that you do so in a civil manner. Civility refers to the way people treat each other with respect, even when they disagree. We do acknowledge that the issues we engage in cause disagreement with our stakeholders. We ask that you speak with integrity, honesty, responsibility, respect, compassion, and self-discipline. Please refrain from using the public comment forum to engage in personal attacks against neighbors or each other or commissioners or staff. Again, with these attributes in mind, we do look forward to hearing from you. That's why we are engaging in public comment once a week. I also wanted to note that starting today, we will be instituting a visible timer to help you keep to the 3-minute limit. Finally, public comment is an opportunity for you to share views and information with us, but it is not a forum for Q&A or dialogue with commissioners. If you desire to ask any of us questions on any topic, we are all willing to hear from you. Our email addresses are online, and we have an open door policy to engage with you. So again, we look forward to hearing from the folks that signed up this evening for our public comment. And with that, I'm going to turn the public comment portion over to Hearings Manager Larson and to Hearings Manager Amaro, who I believe will be running the public comment timer for us. And hopefully that'll be helpful to everyone, so they'll have a visible understanding of the time allotted to them to allow everyone their appropriate amount of time. With that, I see Mr. J.D. Rubal has joined us, and he was first on the list. So we'll look forward to hearing from you once you unmute yourself.
Good evening. First off, what I do for my personal being is I like to recognize the grounds that I reside, the original lands of the Chettichcoan, the Arapaho, the Ute, and the Cheyenne. Today it's called Weld County. Where I live is actually called Windsor. And if I can go back just for a minute, I'd like to mention the wild tours that you suggested taking. If I can suggest going at night when the actual work is being done, that we can experience the effect of what oil and gas extraction is, because they primarily do their work at night. Some nights even lights obscured in a gray mist or in the particular matter that is suspended and dispersed from the site. Oh, and by the way, be wary. I have had folks on this type of outing, and some, not all, who have had to be moved further away due to headaches, nausea, and of course the smell. So not to disparage this human reaction, I will note not everyone suffers the same reaction. However, for those that have this reaction, it's not pleasant. So I'm letting you know that. And in regard to learning, I'm just realizing, in an effort to understand how to regulate harm from oil and gas development, you all are currently learning what encompasses oil and gas development. Interesting, the fact is well known that most municipal leaders themselves don't have an in-depth understanding of oil and gas development. I'm sure they don't have an in-depth understanding of this regulatory agency's responsibility, namely ensuring the well-being of the state and its people. And yet, even before this body is well-versed, you enter into an MOU with governing bodies that should be working in tandem with you as this state is addressing its part in protecting that is air, life, air, and water. Might I suggest you meeting with local governments in an effort to introduce this agency as more than just an enemy of jobs, give the municipality another viewpoint other than that of industry. And another thing that I have a question on is when I go to sign in, sometimes I want to have a comment, and I'm only allowed to have either a comment or speak. I don't see a way to get away from this other than just sending you all an email. And then I got a little thing for the Air Quality Control Commission representative. Is the commission aware of and working on the issue of methane venting from coal production?
Looks like Mr. Roybal is done with his public comment.
And Mr. Roybal, I will just note that you're more than welcome to send an email with any comments, written comments that you have, and we will make sure to get those to the commissioners. So feel free to do that in addition to signing up for public comment.
Thank you.
And Mr. Roybal, I'll reach out to you separately about the work that we're doing with other governing bodies. We're doing some of the reach outs that you asked for. We've already been doing it. And so I look forward to speaking with you offline about that. So if you could provide me your email address, then I'll be able to reach out. Thank you.
Next up, Mr. Chair, we have Marie Venner, and we will bring her in.
Thank you for your service, commissioners. My name is Marie Venner. I'm here as a 24-year Colorado small business owner. I'm a co-founding member of Good Business Colorado, and I'm co-chair of coalitions of Colorado small businesses. We are good businesses who do not leave a mess, pollution, and large costs for the public behind. We comply with the law and expect our state government to comply with the law as well. Particularly important are the 26% pollution reductions by 2025 promised to all Coloradans under HB 1261 and SB 096. The governor's roadmap relies on the COGCC in this sector to produce an even bigger reduction, like a third, from existing production. That's a big job, but there may be a twofer on offer here. Coloradans also expect fiduciary responsibility, and at this point, Coloradans are left uncovered in terms of well closure and remediation costs from this industry. Coloradans and Colorado small businesses are depending on you to achieve a 1/3 reduction in the pollution from existing wells in this sector in the next 3 years. If you are having trouble figuring that out and solidly ensuring those pollution reductions, a moratorium on new permits should be put in place until that can be achieved. This pollution is putting Coloradans' health at risk, and it is putting our whole state at risk. The ability to continue to have viable agriculture in our state, the recreation industry, and more. It is easy to focus on permits and ensuring best practices in drilling, but the big demands you are facing are about something much larger, and that will take much bigger action to achieve truly giant reductions, well closures, and reduced pollution. Finally, it's both objectionable and disrespectful of the public to have that read out regarding commenters. It is broadly tarring commenters and lifts up the commissioner. Is it civil to be letting pollution continue to rise as people are suffering, even against the law, to put our state at risk? Each of us are here to serve the public and protect the public welfare. We are not here from for-profit companies. It is dismissive to be described or dismissed as passionate. My work for my entire career is evidence-based and in the public service. Thanks very much.
Next up, Mr. Chair, we have Kate Merlin. And I'm looking for Miss Merlin now and have not been able to find her. So we're going to go back through and see if we can find her later if she joins our meeting, and then bring her in at that point. So we can move on, I believe, to Kate Christensen. If you give me, oh. And actually, the next speaker, Kate Christensen, she also is not with us at the moment. Nor is Lisa G. So I'll keep going down the list. We do have Ms. Barbara Mills-Bria, so we will bring her in.
So again, I'd like to thank you guys for the opportunity, although I am a bit confused about why exactly we do the public comment. And perhaps, I know you're not doing a response, or you don't want to do a conversation with a person testifying or commenting to you, but maybe next time you could tell us a bit about what you think the purpose of this public comment is. That's mainly because prior to the passage of 181, 1261, and 96, many of us came down to testify, to comment, public comment, because we felt like we had no access to anything that was going on. Now, once those bills passed 2 years ago, we thought, oh, good. Now the public agencies in Colorado were no longer focused on fostering oil and gas, but we're actually going to focus on protecting public health and safety and the environment, improving our air quality, because this industry releases these toxins which wreak havoc with our climate, and they also compromise people's health. And many of us continue to be frustrated because the two departments, CDPHE and DNR, seem to feel like they have different responsibilities, and that the laws that were passed maybe do or don't actually apply to them, because that's the CDPHE thing or that's the COGCC thing. And anyway, we in the general public feel like the law is the law. And we're a bit frustrated because we feel like what is happening with the state of Colorado is that you're trying to figure out how to make it possible for oil and gas to continue to operate by reducing the damage they do, but not really focusing on public health, the environment, climate change, ozone, you know, all the air pollution. I mean, we're going from serious to severe. Anyway, perhaps you could address the purpose of public comment next time so that we can gain an understanding. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, we do have Ms. Merlin in the meeting, so I will bring Ms. Merlin in, and there we go.
Thank you so much, Mimi, and welcome back. I wanted to come and comment today. Thank you so much for taking public comment again. And I've watched the last few hearings on the YouTube after the presentations were over, and I was somewhat alarmed by the tone of the discourse between the commission and the public. It seems like I can't recall a time when things seemed more adversarial, and I think that that's unfortunate. I wanted to express that, while I feel that civility is incredibly important and that we should try to maintain a respectful tone, I do think that does not necessarily, how do I put this, take importance over doing the right thing for people. I've seen a lot of great rule changes, a lot of real progress coming out of the rulemakings, but what I haven't seen on the ground is a lot of change in the way things are actually moving forward. And I wanted to encourage the commission to the extent possible to do what they can to show people that things are different now, that their health and safety is being prioritized, not just in the rules that have been adopted, but in the enforcement that's taking place. One example that I can think of is the way that the public is given a few minutes to comment at the beginning of these hearings, and then industry is invited to make presentations. It can be quite frustrating. So I wanted to ask for folks on both sides to reach out to each other directly and to, have more dialogue, more conversation, and to really look for the ways that we can, make these changes apparent on the ground to just reduce some of the overall, frustration that folks are feeling. So that's all I wanted to say. I'll wrap up. Thank you again so much. Kate Christensen just texted me. She said to let you guys know that she's here, and she raised her hand. So that is everything I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Merlin. So I believe then Ms. Christensen must be coming in as Deb McNamara. So give me one moment and we will locate Ms. McNamara and bring her in.
Hi, sorry about that. I wasn't able to respond when you chatted me because the chat is disabled. So, so I texted Kate, and I can't change my name until I become a panelist. So I am not Deb. I am Kate Christensen, though Deb and I do share a Zoom. And I'm with 350 Colorado, and I wanted to thank you all for taking my comments this evening. I also want to second everything Kate, Merlin said. And the other panelists I thought were really good. But the things I want to talk about today are, if you weren't aware of them already, are two relevant news items from yesterday. First is the International Energy Agency released its first ever scenario aligned with limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. And this is important, it's significant, because it's not some radical green agency. It's the International Energy Agency. And the new scenario they came up with, and I quote, "There's no need for investment in new fossil fuel supplies. This means no expansion or investment from the International Energy Agency in oil and gas beyond what is already committed." And I think this is important for the Commission to take into consideration when granting new oil and gas permits, especially since 70% of what we produce is exported. And considering that the state's roadmap for greenhouse gas reduction calls for ramping up production over the next 10 years. We know, of course, that this doesn't make sense. You can't reduce greenhouse gases and increase oil and gas production. I mean, we know that, and the International Energy Agency knows it too. It brings me to my second point, which was reported in the Denver Post yesterday, which is a report that found with our current progress, we're only gonna reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 3.5 degrees by 2030. And this is woefully inadequate. Our state's goal is 50% by 2030. So if we keep going, just doing what we're doing, not even increasing oil and gas productions, we're not even close. I woke up like in tears last night in the middle of the night thinking about this. I don't know if you guys remember the fires. I wasn't going to talk about this, but I'm just going to. October, it was my 10-year wedding anniversary. And we couldn't go anywhere because of the pandemic. And so we invited my parents over to like toast champagne and have like a masked up outdoor takeout, right? That night, it was like the sky was the color of the apocalypse, and it was literally raining ash on us while we're like trying to toast our like little pandemic 10-year wedding anniversary, and we couldn't go inside because of COVID. And it's just gonna get worse. So I know my time's almost up, but I would just like you have the power to plug and abandon stripper wells, plug and abandon idle wells, and this will help us. And you can do that. And I just wanted to ask the Commission to consider some more denial of permits. I apologize for going over time. Thank you for hearing my comments.
Mr. Chair, next we have Guillermo Cerna, and he's participating by phone. So give me one moment and we will unmute him and bring him in. Mr. Cerna, if you can hear us, you can unmute yourself and begin your comments.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Guillermo Cerna here. I've missed a couple of meetings, but not because I wanted to, but because of what's happening in my life here with my wife and Alzheimer's and that type of thing. So sometimes that frustration does come out. Okay, so I apologize for the inequities of my home place as far as our health. But what I'm looking at right now is that something came up yesterday from the president on the 1 million pounds being able to be pulled by a power, okay, not driven by either gas or oil. And it reminds me of the 911 system when people really didn't want that technology and they didn't want to lose their payphones at every corner, but it happened. And it's in the past now. And we're utilizing all of that. We got a president that wants to do good for this country. And here we are buckering over rules and regulations instead of listening to what the community wants. We need that technology. If that percentage that lady just mentioned is at 3%, the population that's going to be coming into Colorado is going to probably triple it by the time it gets done. We are proud that, yes, we have grown, but along with that comes the responsibility of taking care of the people that are going to be coming in. And that's the future. And in looking at being one of the technicians that put in one of the first 911 systems in the state of Colorado, it's got to be done. And that's what we should be looking at. Not looking at the governance of, home rule or whatever type of government that has to happen or was in place. We have to look at how do we take care of this whole situation. I'm looking and I'm wanting more because education is one of the most important things. That's where we should be spending our time. We are behind people in technology because we keep wanting the past. We have to look at the future. And it's not going to get done by looking at more rules and regulations.
Mr. Cerna,
It's going to be done at looking at the future.
I apologize for interrupting, but unfortunately your 3 minutes has expired.
Thank you very much, and you have a good day.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, next we have Ms. Lucy Molina. One moment and we'll bring her in.
Hello? Can you hear me?
We can hear you and we can see you, Ms. Molina.
Oh, okay, sorry about that. Thank you so much for your service, and it's great to see you guys again. I haven't been here for a minute. And I want to thank Guillermo and Kate for sharing that information. It's really concerning, really, as a parent. I guess we know the science and we hear all these concerns, but I heard Guillermo's dealing with, his sick wife. I have a sick child too. I have a sick mother, a sick nephew, asthma. My grandmother died of leukemia. We're still fighting the breast cancer for a second time. We are in Commerce City, and it's pretty scary as a parent to know that our own government is killing our children's future, and it's killing my future. I really hope that this commission protects our future and our children. We're tired. We're tired, and there is a climate crisis, and hearing what Miss Kate said, I'm gonna have nightmares tonight too. As you all know, many people know, I live next to the oil refinery Suncor. I've been dealing with this for 7 years already. My intention was to move to Commerce City up in Reunion towards the north, but I found out they were fracking next door to my cousin's house. This is not fair. No se vale, man. This is not fair for us, for the people, for our families. We look up to you guys, the government, to help us. And, a person like me, single mom, I'm just a regular person from the community. I feel hopeless. Seeing the work that, with the whistleblower situation, with the CDPHE, and now with the COGCC giving out permits like hotcakes. That's very scary for our future. I really hope that you listen to the community for once, and do know that we are these industries are banking on human misery because we're sick. Our children are sick. Our parents are dying. Yes. Anyway, thank you so much for allowing this opportunity for me to speak. I really hope to see more people here. I don't see COGCC including us as we should. It's getting harder and harder to testify. It's getting harder and harder to be included. I really hope that you listen to us for once. Thank you so much for your time and for your public service. God bless you all.
Thank you, Ms. Molina. Next, we have Mr. Phil Doe. He's signed up to provide comment. I do not see him, however, in our attendee list. So we can move to Mr. Steve Douglas. Give me one moment and we'll bring him in.
Hello, you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Douglas, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. First off, I'd like to start off with, we've had a lot of public comments and all, and I understand about being respectful and everything. But we lost the connection with the commission and the voice of the people because we don't have that face-to-face comments where we could go down to the center and actually speak, and you can really see how people want to convey the issues when it comes around the environment and oil and gas permits, and so the Zoom is on the other hand, it's a good thing when you don't have time to drive and park and all that, and that's where we're at right now, but it's still business as usual. I would say we have broken promises. There has not been not one denial of permit so far. May 19th, 2 years ago, with the passing of Senate Bill 181, there hasn't been a sit down with the public and no roundtable discussion with all the agencies with the framework of reducing greenhouse gases. It's always, hey, that's their deal. They're responsible for this portion. We're responsible for this portion. But it should work hand in hand. This business as usual in my eyes, we all anticipated a thoughtful, meticulous process with the end goal of reducing permits and only allowing those permits to go forward that would not harm our air quality and be part of the greenhouse gas program. Instead, you have just ignored the public in the permit process, again, with no denial, overall review of permits that have not been denied. And the meetings I can attend, my wife, she's been attending pretty much every one of these meetings. I would like to hear from any of the commissioners what their thought process was when they first joined the commission. Honestly say, I wanted to pause the permits and do things right. I have not heard that, and have the guts and be proud to say, I should have stood up at the beginning and said, let's do this right. Because we need to do this for Colorado and we do it for the people. And we can't have business as usual. And so it's really hard to come on here because you've heard from professionals, scientists, and nothing has changed. And I have like 14 seconds, whatever, 10 seconds left. It just pains me because I served on the city council for 8 years, and I made sure decisions I made were for the people and not for me and not for the industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Douglas. Next, we have Ms. Christy Douglas. I believe they're on the same Zoom. So
you're correct. Good evening, commissioners. Thank you for holding these public meetings in the evenings. I do appreciate that, although you can see that there were a lot of people who weren't able to come out and speak up tonight. I really don't need to go through my introduction. As usual, you all know who I am and that I live in Commerce City in Adams County. I serve as a co-chair for a volunteer community organization, a group, I guess. It's not really that well organized. North Range Concerned Citizens. And I always come to you speaking in my own behalf. But in the future, I'm going to start speaking for all the people from NRCC. I know one person who is going to be here tonight, but she's a social worker. And unfortunately, Mayor Hancock called a town meeting tonight, and so she couldn't be here, and she really wanted to be here to speak, but they're lifting the mask requirement and making the social workers meet with their clients in person. And because of her health condition, she's not able to be vaccinated, although she's probably going to be forced back to work and to meet with people who could be carrying the COVID virus. And there's a lot of other reasons that people aren't here tonight to speak. But I'm just going to keep coming to you every week until you hear what I have to say. And that is like what Kate Christensen said tonight. The science is there. And we thought we were okay with 181, and it turned out that that wasn't the case. There should be a moratorium. There should have been a moratorium. As soon as 181 was passed, there should have been a moratorium put in place on new permits so we could get a grip on the situation. That didn't happen. And so now it feels like we're in utter chaos. I urge you to consider a moratorium going forward. I would like to see you concentrate on plugging abandoned wells and put people to work that way. And I just feel like so many of us just feel so hopeless in coming to you that things are going to play out the way the industry wants them to play out.
Ms. Douglas, I apologize for interrupting you, but your time
absolutely.
has expired.
I'm so sorry. I didn't look at the time.
Not a problem. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Please continue the public comment and please listen to us. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, that concludes our public comment for this evening. Mr. Doe and Ms. Lisa G, neither of them were, could we find either of them in our list of attendees?
Yeah, I was looking as well after Ms. Douglas was done with her time, and I didn't see them either. It is 6:39, so I think, we started at 6. If sometimes people sign up and then they're not able to make it, and so I think we've given them sufficient time to have otherwise been here. So I think we will conclude public comment this evening. And again, thank folks for coming and testifying to us this afternoon or this evening. I want to thank folks. I think that people are providing good public comment. I didn't hear anything that caused me to be alarmed. And so we appreciate that. That's constructive for us. I've taken notes. I plan on getting back to a couple of you with specifics. We don't do Q&A here, but we do want to get back to you. We want you to know you've been heard. And Mr. Roybal, I'll be getting back to you and some of the others. So thank you again, folks, for the public comment. I see that Ms. Douglas and Mr. Douglas are still on the line, and so it's now time for commissioner comments. And so I have a comment. Some folks wondered, what were you thinking when you took this job? Well, when I took the job as director, when I took the job as chair, I was taking a job to enact and implement Senate Bill 19-181. And Ms. Douglas in particular indicated that that meant we should enforce a moratorium on all new permits. And frankly, I disagree. We've heard from the Senate Majority Leader, we've heard from the Speaker of the House, who are the legislative entities or people that ran this legislation. We heard from Governor Polis, and all of them said that this was not to constitute a ban or a moratorium on permits. We were supposed to use objective criteria of permitting to permit those wells that could be permitted, to not permit wells that could not, and to hold over those wells for the new 181 regime, and that occurred. So I, agree. I'm happy that you're here to comment, but I do want you to know that that's at least my perspective on the job that we're supposed to be doing, and frankly, I think we've done it quite well. One other comment, and I heard this from Ms. Christensen, is maybe we could provide some information about what's happening on the ground. And I've had discussions with some of our staff, and I think that's something that we can report back on. And so I'm going to do some work with our staff to sort of let folks get a sense of what actually has been happening since we turned on the rules on January 15th. And so we can report back on that at a later date after staff's had a chance to put that together. But those are some of my comments in response to some of the comments. I think I heard folks were like, well, we'd like to have responses. And Mr. Roybal, again, I'm going to get back to you. I have your email address. I found it when you signed up about what we're doing with local governments and how we're approaching that. I had a meeting just yesterday with Adams County local government and talked about us being a partner with them and working with them. So those are my commissioner comments. We are at that stage of commissioner comment. We also could have a director report, but I believe Director Murphy's been so busy with things that she doesn't have anything to report this evening, which is just fine. So I will look to my other fellow commissioners if anybody else has comments for the evening session. Commissioner McGowan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I realize that people don't have time to come to every one of our commission meetings or hearings or planning meetings. So the comment about how it's frustrating that operators have been presenting to the commission and others have not. The commissioners did put together a list of educational dockets. A lot of us had different backgrounds and were interested in learning different things about our job and the things that we were regulating. And so a lot of those educational dockets to date have centered around learning more about the industry, our rules and regs, how it all works. And I think that that's been appropriate to hear from operators and from their expertise. We haven't made it all the way through the list. I don't think the list is finite, that things can be added. And I think at our last planning meeting, we talked about how we would share the list of things that we as commissioners put together that we wanted to learn more about. And I think it's just I think we're just fixing edits and spelling errors and all that stuff and releasing it. I honestly can't remember what we said last week about when we would do it, but I know it's coming out. And I have spoken with some of you and said, if you think something is missing from that there should be a presentation on, that there is appropriate expertise for, we should talk about that and see if anything's missing. I certainly don't think that what we've done to date has been to favor one group over another in any way. And if it feels like that, I apologize, but I feel that to date, our educational dockets have been appropriate with appropriate presentations.
Thank you, Commissioner McGowan. I'll echo that comment. I've reached out to several folks and let them know that we'll get that informational docket list out. And I've even said, look, if you think there's something else that would be great for us to make sure we're aware of, get it to me, and we can sit amongst ourselves and determine whether we want to hear from that too. So I disagree with the comment that it's more difficult for folks to engage with us. I think it is very easy to engage. And to the commenter that spoke to the fact that we'd like to all be in the room and look across each other, no duh. I mean, I'm right there with you. And we're hopeful that with folks getting vaccinated and getting past this over the summer, that we'll be meeting with folks face to face once again. We, I think as a commission, look forward to that, look forward to having meetings across the state and meetings with constituents in any other format other than Zoom. Other commissioners with comments this evening? Commissioner Hackett.
Thank you, Chair Robbins, and thank you, commissioners, for your comments, and thank you for the public for joining us and providing comments. There's one thing I did want to respond to. Mr. Rabal, you had made a suggestion about providing additional education to local government. So I did want to highlight a educational material that I had put together that I've shared with, I think, pretty much all local governments, especially local governments who have a lot of oil and gas development in their jurisdiction. And I would encourage you or anyone in the public who might be interested in viewing that presentation. It's available on the Oil and Gas Health Program's website, and that's www.colorado.gov/OG health, as in oil and gas health. There's a section on there for regulations, and I recorded, it's pretty high level, so a lot of folks who are very engaged in this process, it's stuff you all know, but it explains some of CDPHE's regulatory authority on the air quality front, water quality, and waste management front. And it also highlights areas where our agency interacts with COGCC and how we share responsibility on protecting public health and the environment. So just wanted to flag that for folks if that would be of interest for people to view. And again, I've shared that with a lot of local governments who seem to like the information that it contains. So thanks for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you, Commissioner Hackett, and thanks for the remembering for us that is out there for folks to take a look at. Looking to see if anyone else has comments. And if not, I believe we are in a place to have a motion to adjourn, noting again for the record that we're not having a meeting tomorrow. That's been continued to the following week, in which we'll hear on financial assurances, and letting everyone know that we'll get our informational docket paper up on the website and get it shared with everybody. And again, you know how to reach us, email us, and we can engage offline. Great. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Great. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We will see you soon, and have a good evening, and we'll be in touch.